And we are recording.
We are live on Las Vegas Triathlon Club Facebook page. We are recording. I'm John Mercer, president of Las Vegas Tri Club. It's a Thursday night member spotlight. Hey, Bob, how's it going?
It's going great. I'm off Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So if this is a good night for me.
Awesome. Well,
my Friday.
It's a good night to talk with our spotlight tonight, Sandy Larsen. Hey, Sandy, how's it going?
Going good. How about you guys?
Oh, doing good. This
Fine.
is so great for you to join us because
Yes,
I think
wonderful to have
you're a
you.
big part of the endurance community for some time, and you've done a lot of work with volunteer type organizations, and so it's going to be fun to hear your triathlon story. So I'm really looking forward to hearing more of the details. Well,
Yeah.
I'm going to turn the official introduction over to Mr. Bob Gamble.
And like John said, we are very happy to have Miss Sandy Larsen with us. And Sandy joined the club in 2017, did her first triathlon, the Rage Triathlon sprint in 2017. And we're going to talk about what that first race was like. But she apparently liked it because she went on to do more sprints, several Olympic distance races. She's already done some 70.3s, signed up for St. George. She's got a tough one coming up. And Sandy is one of the most consistent members of the club that we've seen. If you noticed on Facebook, Sandy is always doing these tough rides. And it's like, how do you do this? Like week after week after week. So we're going to talk to her about her training and her consistency and what she has coming up. But Sandy, it's really wonderful to have you with us tonight. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great, and I'm humbled. Thank you so much for the invite. It's been a tough year. I think a lot of people are really feeling that, that urge to race, and it looks like St. George is going to happen. They actually put up a monument, and that gives us all hope that that will happen. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, those look really unique, and I haven't seen any city do something like that, so that's pretty neat.
Especially after Rage got canceled, so now people are really looking forward to St. George. But that's I'm not sure where to get started with you. You're because I want to talk about St. George because that's a tough course. I've never raced it, but I understand it's very hilly and tough.
It is.
So, going back to your first when you got into triathlon in 2017, what made you do that? What prompted you?
I started out running when I was in my early 50s, and my mom had died suddenly, and really had a tough go with that. She was my best friend, my rock. And depression set in, and for me, I never thought anybody couldn't shake it. That's how I always was. Just you fall down, get up, brush yourself off, and everything's okay. Well, for a whole year I slept, and my daughter finally said, "Hey, we can't do this anymore," and medication and some other things, but I had a really good friend that said, "Hey, you're a runner. Why don't you become a triathlete?" I was like, "Oh, no, I don't swim." And that seems to be the common reply is I don't swim or I don't run.
Or I don't want to swim.
Right. So that's how I started out. And I can gratefully tell you now that it's helped me tremendously. In those down moments, I run, I head out the door, I go for a run, or I get on my bike and I ride, and everything's great. You can instantly just forget about something when you do the type of sport.
It's therapeutic.
Yeah.
Did you run in high school or college or previously?
There was 1 year there that I ran track. I did the 50-yard dash and a relay, and that was about it. But I was a cheerleader. And gymnastics.
Yeah, but that's nothing to laugh at. No, I mean cheerleading anymore it's a pretty tough physical sport.
It is, particularly with the gymnastics as well. But
so So what was your strength when you went into your first triathlon?
Running.
Right, running, it was your strength?
Yes, I
And-
couldn't swim.
And how did you pick that up? Because you can swim pretty well now.
I seeked out for different master classes, particularly Coach Mel, and she helped me a great deal. Devaney was another one.
Oh,
I
yeah,
would
she's
go there
awesome.
twice a week before I went to work, which is 5 o'clock in the morning. And that pool is outdoors too. So you build a lot of grit in that master swim. And just never gave up, just kept swimming and swimming. I remember in particularly with Coach Mel, we were doing private classes, and I had brought my granddaughter, and she was sitting up there and coloring, and I got about halfway. I think that was Whitney Ranch pool. I got about halfway, and I just, pounded my fist on the water. Like, I was so frustrated. I was like, why can't I just breathe and get across to the very end of the pool? And so I proceeded, and I turned around, and I look up. My granddaughter had a sign that says, "Grandma, you could do it."
Oh, how
that's
cool.
great.
Yes, and they're my great inspiration. They come to all of my races. My family is a huge support. They're everything to me.
Okay, now I'm not sure if this is the right time, John, and you can jump in here, but is this why you've expressed an interest in helping with the kids triathlons and getting that started?
Yes,
You
I
got some
love-
kids of your own that you might help to get started in this.
Yes. So I'm excited to be a part of that. And that, that comes from Coach Dax too. I'm so grateful to him in so many ways. This sport is really about helping others too. And for me, that's what I love doing. And I've helped triathletes that have tried 3 times to get through the swim for a race and were not able to. And Doc's like, "Hey, go swim with him." And I'm like, "Wow, me?" Because I'm not I consider the fastest swimmer. But I was so, grateful that he had asked me, because that individual finished that swim. And I've also helped Pedro, which is Chris Coffey, he's the blind triathlete. I'm actually one of his main runners. So I help him as far as running, but we were the ones who worked out together to get him through his first triathlon.
And Chris gave you a shout out on Facebook already. So that's awesome.
Hi, Chris.
Well, this is so great to hear. And one, I really like to hear that you didn't start even running until you were in your 50s.
Yes.
And then you picked up triathlon even after that. And I love that. It's never too late to get involved with the sport.
Yeah.
You're a really good example for a lot of people who are watching this.
Yes,
I mean,
I'm
to
probably
get-
not beat up. Somebody told me that. It was one of the coaches, maybe Mel. Because I didn't come with a lot of injuries. A few gymnastic injuries, but I didn't run all my life, so maybe that's a good thing.
No, that is great. And I love your perspective on triathlon, that the sport is about helping others, because you're right. And I always say it's an individual sport, but we don't do it alone. And I'm already seeing some of the comments on Facebook. You clearly are not doing this alone, and you've got a band of people with you. And great to hear about your grandkids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got both a fan club, and you've got the group that you help to support. And I think it's a cyclical thing. It builds on itself, doesn't it?
So
I have 11 grandchildren, so
oh wow, that's fantastic.
hurrah.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so I want to hear a little bit more about your. I always love hearing about your first race, because that's always, that's your gateway into the sport. For someone like you that's been involved for some time now, that first race obviously didn't scare you off, and it inspired you to do more. So, tell us a little bit more about that first race.
So the swim, I did struggle. However, the coaching had taught me how to get on my back and to breathe and to relax. And I also picked up some songs to help relax me. And then I turn back over and then start swimming again and flip back over. And I recall looking at the sky. I don't know about you guys, but looking at Lake Mead and the sky when you're swimming, I don't know if you guys have, but I have a lot of times. It's beautiful. It really is. And I just try to relax and just let my body get into, the just feel the water. And so eventually it took me a while. I never did look at my times when I started out, like a lot of people. I still haven't looked at them. So finally came out of the water, and we all know what those rocks feel like, right? So from the rocks to transition, I had practiced quite a bit, so I did quite well there. Got on the bike, did good on the bike. Then here came the run.
Well, yeah, when you stop the bike and then you take those first steps, tell us about that.
Oh
first
yeah,
race.
they're really wobbly. So like, are you talking about when you dismount off of the bike before you run?
No, as soon as you start trying, you tell your legs to run. We're going to run now, and they say, "Oh no, we're not either."
Oh no, yes, yeah, they're very wobbly. But what I experience is cramps, and cramps actually happen to me in just about every race that I have been in. Until I started using some different nutrition. I have a gut situation as well, very sensitive. I'll just tell you, I use Infinite. It's amazing for me, for those who have sensitive stomachs.
And what is that called again?
Infinite with INFINIT. Yeah, a lot of your pros are using it now. It's just all mixed in one. It's real simple too. And I like simplicity because my life is very busy. I work for the power company. I've been there for 20 years and I bring power to commercial and residential buildings. So the balance, and I take my grandchildren, to their different practices because they all play sports, but didn't mean to get off on that. But just so you know, the balance, it's real, the balance and trying to work and, do that.
No, that's so true. And taking the sport up, in your 50s and what have you, and having a family, you got to balance your time. It's not easy. It's not like being young and you're on your own. You really do.
No other obligations.
But what was your gear for your swim? Did you use a wetsuit? Did you buy one? Did you borrow one? And on your bike? I think that's where we were with your bike. I want to hear what your first bike was.
Well, I was fortunate because I didn't start racing for a year. I actually got familiar with the sport for a year before I dived into a race. I think I'm a little bit more hesitant to.
No, you're a good planner. You're a good planner.
Well, that's true. I am a good planner. So I actually had a nice road bike, a Liv road bike, and the wetsuit was Roka. So I have been blessed with a job that pays well. So I was able to buy what I needed, and Roka is so comfortable too. I did try an Xterra and it just didn't work out. I tried a Blue 70 and those were borrowed type wetsuits. But because I'm fortunate, I give things away too. When there's new, triathletes, I'm like, hey, I have an extra wetsuit here.
That's nice.
Yeah. So.
Well, and I'm really glad to hear that you tried different wetsuits because you do need to find the one that works for you. And each model and each brand is just a little bit different. So that's really good to hear. And there's nothing wrong with, getting, I love it. Love to hear that you took a year to get ready for your first race. And that's great. That's planning. And there's a lot of, triathletes that just love the planning part. So that's good.
Hey, John, one more thing I want before we go too much further. Sandy, you mentioned something that was really important in the swim. And most novice or beginner triathletes, they want to go out and go fast in the swim. And you used the word relax like 5 times when you were talking about your swim. And if you can get I'm glad because there are new triathletes listening. When you relax in the water, you're going to go a whole lot faster in the long run than if you go out and try to swim. And so you knew that right off the bat. You go out
Yes,
there, you
and I
relax.
had good training too, but the one thing that I like about Las Vegas Triathlon is you can swim with somebody.
Mhm.
So you know that if you're a new triathlete out there, you can have somebody swim next to you.
You mean
Uh,
with our clubs? The
yes.
club races? Yes.
Mhm. Yes. Thanks for mentioning that because I think that's so important for, new swimmers.
Mhm.
It could be a little, once they get in that water, it could be a little intimidating. And then
And
learning
and and we don't mind. It's okay to wear a buoy too in our races to get
Yes,
until you get
that's the
comfortable.
other thing. Yeah, I love both of that. I mean, that's great that you do that. And to me, I wish I kind of would have had that as my first race, but um I've been very blessed. I haven't DNF'd yet. And I shouldn't say that because St. George is coming up.
Well,
But
maybe it's all your planning that's paying off. Okay, so now we're making it to the run now. So
okay.
the run is your strength, and this is your first triathlon. And when you get off the bike, were you just like, okay, now I've got it? Or were you worried still? And what was going through your mind?
I think what worried me is the cramps were intense. They
Mm.
were in the inner thigh area.
That's where I get mine.
They're terrible. I think I can endure them now because I've had them so much. But there's also like base salt, some other things out there that'll help. Hydration prior is extremely important. I've learned a lot from all of, that's the thing too, is journaling and taking what happened in that race and learning from that race.
I need to do that. You're
Yeah.
absolutely, I need to do that.
Yeah. And you'd be surprised when you go back and look at what you ate. Like when you have a good bike day and you're strong and, you go back and look at that whole week and what you ate, and follow that again, you'd be surprised how that will help you as well. But the run was extreme. And I had to give it everything I had
Mhm.
to get back in. And that was only 3 miles.
Yeah.
I'm running like 15 miles now, like it's nothing. But and it's not like it's nothing. I just been doing it a lot.
The perspective changes. No, that's great. And so you hit that finish line, and how often or how soon after hitting that finish line did you start thinking, I want to do another one?
Right away.
Mhm.
I already had a race list. I
Ah,
already had, yeah, I raced seven races that year. And
oh,
of course, that was the one thing I learned too, is that, mental strength is important as much as physical.
mhm,
And you have to slow down. You have to trust, it's particularly I'm working off zones with Coach Dax. You have to trust his coaching. And I tend to have a little bit of that get out there and do it type attitude. Don't do that. I mean, take it, trust it. And if you're working off of a zone, make sure you watch your heart rate and walk if you have to. And it has paid off for me. I'm doing about a 9:30. I can do about a 9:30:10 consistent.
Wow, good job.
Yeah. And my bike is I always got dropped on the bike. Everybody knows that. I always tell them I'm their tailwind. It's always been kind of a funny thing. But today, that's not that way anymore. And I just
Good.
started trusting, and looking at my heart rate. And I moved up in zones now. I could run up hills. I could climb hills on a bike now instead of crying about it.
You said two important things that I want to make sure that people don't miss. First one was you did your sprint and it was challenging. So,
Yeah.
A lot of people will say, oh, I just did a sprint. There's no such thing as just doing a sprint. Those are tough as well, especially because you're just getting started. And if you're experienced and you do a sprint, you're going hard. So there's no such thing as just doing a sprint. It's a triathlon. It's a hard one. And then the other thing is knowing, and this took me so long to get through my thick skull about keeping your heart rate down in the zone that the coach tells you to keep it in, and you get faster and you don't get injured as much. Yeah?
And I have not been injured. I started out injured. I had acute tendonitis from my hip all the way down to my ankle. I suffered in the Tempe 70.3 Ironman. I had an excellent race. I exceeded my goals that Dax gave me until I got on the run. And then things were very disappointing. I was very disappointed in myself. But now when I look back, I'm not disappointed in myself.
You learned.
Have to take those races and learn from them. And mine was nutrition. I cannot eat. You know, some people just cannot eat. And I'm one of those. So not on the bike and the run.
And what did you do instead? Did you take liquids or did you just
liquid? Yeah. Okay. So I've been using Infinite consistently, and it's amazing. It's really paid off. So and a couple of goos, but not even, just mostly Infinite. And it's
okay. I'm gonna have to try it.
What?
I'm gonna have to try it. It sounds good.
Oh, I highly recommend it. I could almost be an ambassador with them of how many people are now trying it, and it's successful with them.
Well, tell one more thing on what you mentioned was, you know, injuries, and you've been relatively injury free in the last 4 years.
Yeah.
And what do you attribute that to?
Coach Dax.
keeping you know, pulling the reins in a little bit on you.
And probably this part. I'm a little stubborn. People know that. And I'm competitive. I'm naturally competitive. But you have to put that stuff in check. You have to keep your body healthy, and you have to listen to your body. If something's hurting, it's hurting for a reason. Yeah. You know, and you need to communicate that to your coach. A coach can give you a plan, but a coach can't know how your body's feeling. And I've learned that. I've learned to say, hey, I'm tired, you know, and he'll ask too, but he listens. And I think that's the reason why I'm injury free now.
That's great. And now you've progressed from doing the sprint to doing half Ironmans, and you've done several of them. So where do you find yourself attracted to when looking at races down the road? Are you looking at the longer distances, or are you looking at still the short sprints?
Yes. When I started in triathlons, I had written my goals to finish a full Ironman in 2020. And of course, that did not happen. I was going to do Arizona. I am now signed up for California, because that's actually where I was born. So, you know, there's a lot of things there that connect me to California. So I will be doing that in October.
Awesome. That is great.
Very good. Good luck. Good luck. Good luck.
Yes.
Well, as a planner, that I'm sorry. When did you write down the goal that you wanted to do an Ironman?
When I started doing triathlons around Rage.
Oh wow! Wow.
Yes, I wrote that down. That was one of the things I wanted to do, was complete a full Ironman.
Yeah. Do you remember what drew you to wanting to do an Ironman?
Coach Mel.
Ah.
That's who I started with too. Yeah. So, wonderful person.
Yep.
Amazing. Yep. I don't know how many Ironmans has she completed, and she started in her 50s like I did.
Yep. Yeah, fabulous career. That's fun. Yeah. That's great. Oh, that's neat to hear. So it's neat to see, you know, people who inspired you, and now you're on the other end inspiring others.
I hope so. I particularly, not to separate you guys out, but I really like helping women to believe in themselves.
Yeah.
You know, and I've actually helped, you know, one particular person, a woman, do a triathlon with Nancy Jones, and I stayed with her through the whole entire thing, the swim and the bike.
That's awesome.
We did a sprint. It was like a virtual, but she was able to finish it. And this is the path I want to take. This is where I want to go.
Mm-hmm.
Just helping others get to that finish line.
Oh, that's great. It's neat to be able to give back that way at the same time, and of you know, accomplishing your goals. And you've got some big goals out there. So that's fun to do it together.
And I want to make sure that the people listening pick up on the fact that, you know, there's a lot of new people in the club. A lot of, you know, people are just getting, you know, joined Facebook, just joined the club. And they need to know that most people here are just like Sandy, who want to help, And she's a pretty much a poster child for that, wanting to help and is available to help. So call on anybody, and you've got a good role model here and a good person to ping for some help and support. And I'm already I'm taking some mental notes here. I'm going to ask you about some nutrition things and about some injury prevention because, it's like, yeah.
Well, and here's the deal is that Sandy, you've already dropped a lot of great gems along the way here.
Yeah, absolutely.
The sport about helping others and, learning from every race. And I'm really, it was really neat to hear you recognize how beautiful an area we have to train in, and, to be able to, take a moment and absorb that is, that's important, in any race. But I do want to ask you, what is your best advice for the new triathlete?
I would journal, definitely journal, and nutrition, make that, educate yourself about nutrition. It's very important. But mostly I would allow the process. Don't be anxious, take it slow, learn, read books. There's a lot out there. I think I'm reading the endurance triathlete right now regarding the zones. Just educate yourself and do everything you can. Listen to your body and prevent yourself from being injured. If something is hurting, it's hurting for a reason. And I would seek some good coaching, seek out those that have that kind of background and can help you, or someone like me. I mean, I'm on Facebook. You can't miss me. I don't have a coaching background, but I'm here to help you in any way that I can, beyond coaching, because you have some certified coaches out there for that. But we do also, and I can't take full credit. There's Jill Asworth and Christina Gruber and Terry Gamer all started the Las Vegas Triathlon group page.
Yep.
So we're going to start that back up. We had a few things that happened that was tragic, but I will say that Erin Ray loved that page, and in her memory, we'll continue.
Good.
But my main thing too is to keep women safe, and
Good.
please take every precaution you can to be safe out there.
And one more time, what is the name of that group page?
The Las Vegas Triathlon Women. The Las Vegas Triathlon Women. Las Vegas. Okay.
Just want to make sure everybody got that.
I think it's Las Vegas Women Triathlon. I can't even remember now. Las Vegas Triathlon Women. Yes.
Well, that's great. And that is so important to support women getting into the sport. And those who are in, and there's a number of initiatives out there to encourage a greater participation from women. So so thank you for doing that. Now we're getting close to our end here.
John, before you cut it off, I have one specific question and we don't usually get specific like this, but you have talked about listening to your body, injury prevention. For you, how do you know the difference between when you are feeling lazy and don't feel like doing a workout? How do you draw the line between that and I'm really worn out, I need to take a day off? You know what I'm asking?
I do, but I'm tough one when it comes to me with lazy. You could probably ask the group that I usually train with. I think the difference by just complete fatigue, where you have brain fog, you're not feeling like eating, and normally you have a pretty decent appetite as a triathlete.
That's a good point. It's a real good point.
And you're just tired. You can't think straight. And my job is very important to the community. So, when I get to that point where I'm beyond exhaustion, then you have to kind of step back and say, okay, can I do that run today? Is that 45-minute run really worth it? Or is my rest?
And is it going to be beneficial or not? Or is it going to be detrimental?
That's the other thing. We're all career-minded people. We're busy, stress. So all that impacted into one. Are you sleeping? There's nights I don't sleep. I twilight. And so I'll take all of that and really sit down and and that's when I'll say, Dax doesn't hear this often, but I'll say, hey, I'm tired. But Dax also is very good about logging you as an individual. And he surprised me because he said it's always that second week, that Thursday when we peak down a little bit, that you're tired. And I am, and I'm not young. So I have to factor all that in. Make sure you're drinking a lot of water. I'm a terrible water drinker sometimes. So I have a note on my monitor right here that says drink water.
Drink your water.
Drink water. It's important that you hydrate your body. If you could get up first thing in the morning and down a bottle of water, please do so, because it will help you tremendously.
Well, that answers my question. I appreciate you going into details on that. And I just ran over John's time, so I'll turn it back over to him.
I'll tell you what, like I said, Sandy, you've dropped so many wonderful gems tonight, and this is really a podcast that I hope triathletes listen to and really hear the great advice that you're giving. It's helpful for the new triathlete. It's helpful for someone who's been doing it for some time. So this is really great perspective. So thanks so much for joining us. This has really been good to get to know.
Yep. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Your advice.
Thank you for having me, and I look forward to being out there for everybody. If you guys ever don't be shy. If you need something, come up and see me. I usually keep doubles in my car. So you need a pair of goggles, something like that, I'm here for you. And those kids too. I'm here for the kids.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to take you up on that.
That's right.
Yes.
That's awesome. Well, thanks so much. And thanks everyone for listening.
Thank you. Guys, have a wonderful night.
Thanks, you too.
See you soon.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.